Oh, and good evening. It's March 31st, 2026, and we're continuing our discussion collection and our Outside the Class series. Remember, this series is from the Bible Project, covers the entire TaNaK, also known as the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. Those source videos are available for your review. They're on TheDustyFeet.com. They're there in that Outside the Class section. Because the intent of Outside the Class is for you to listen to that in-class lecture first, those short overview videos. Then we expand the conversation. Still try to keep these to about 15 minutes. I want to make them easy to catch up on. So we are on a quest, scroll by scroll, book by book, a journey through this collection, just maybe with a fun and different twist. Our hope with the Dusty Feet is to foster discussion and to help build and support communities. If you're not already connected to a community or just want to share and interact, this community has 4 primary ways to interact. 1. TheDustyFeet.com. That's our primary place to find everything. You are always free to comment. 2. Substack. Link is in the description below. It's designed around the written and spoken text. It's a place to connect to ourselves and others. 3. Facebook at The Dusty Feet. These videos and other videos are also available for comment and discussion. 4. And as always, you're welcome to send an email to bob@thedustyfeet.com. These places, they will be moderated and guidelines will be set to ensure healthy, safe discussion. And as always on The Dusty Feet, this is a place where we can safely explore the endless ways of God and the interconnection of His creation. Belief understandings may be challenged, divine misunderstandings may exist, and traditional teachings might falter as we pursue connection, context, and community with God and each other here in an environment of grace and love. And of course, before we forget, if you do find these kinds of podcasts useful, it's when you click that subscribe button, please. But if you think these might be useful to others, that is when you click that like button, because that is how YouTube chooses to share this with more people if they want to. Yeah. So in this series, right, we're going to cover the entire TaNaK, the Old Testament. We're doing in the original order of the Hebrew Scriptures. And we also need to remember that these videos, well, they're just the tip of an iceberg. They are part of an entire learning series, and I highly recommend them. And of course, all of them are available at the Bible Project. Because we're going to ask many questions about all kinds of things. The answers, we'll see. Samuel, second scroll. It's our part 20. So the men of Judah and the men of Israel, right? These are leaders, mind you. They're arguing over who's greater, right? Does that discussion ring a bell? Yeah. Sneak peek forward? Not much has been learned. We even see the story wrapped around the Messiah. Remember? Favored even around a perceived king. More there for sure. But yes, here we are. They're arguing, and it seems like the men of Israel, well, they decide they're not going to follow King David. Because the next story is the rebellion of Sheba. And because of the description of him, we've heard this phrase before. Maybe we need to remember that we've heard it before, but this obviously has a much greater impact than even we might give it. Chapter 20, verse 1. Now a worthless fellow happened to be whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew the trumpet and said, "We have no portion in David, nor do we have inheritance with this son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." So blowing a trumpet, that you could call either a rallying signal or a kind of a herald saying, hear ye, or listen to me. We're going to hear this trumpet again. Keep that in mind. So this worthless fellow, this would interest me. The author finds him wanting, but it seems that the people who are actually listening to him in the moment, well, they're seeing and hearing something different. They have a very different view because they decide to follow him. Verse 2, so all the men of Israel withdrew from following David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah, well, they remained steadfast to their king, from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. So this time, David knows that this worthless fellow, right, he needs to be dealt with. And as we've been hearing or seeing in these stories, we know that if Joab's any part of it, it'll probably not end well for the one he pursues or for any others who might hinder that effort. But first, David needs to do a little house cleaning himself. He needs to take care of his home before he deals with this worthless fellow that David believes may actually be worthless, but not without the possibility, even with him, of serious impact. Verse 3, then David came to his house at Jerusalem, and then the king took the 10 women, the concubines whom he had left to keep the house, right? Remember, these were the women that Absalom violated, yeah? And he placed them under guard, provided them with sustenance, but he did not go into them. So they were shut up until the day of their death, living as widows. There's probably a bit more to discuss there amongst yourselves. Think about it. But then the king said to Amasa, call out the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself. So Amasa went to call out the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do more harm to us than Absalom. So take your Lord's servants, pursue him, so that he does not find for himself fortified cities and escape from our sights. So Joab's men went out after him, along with the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, and they went out from Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. Right? So Joab, he's in hot pursuit, as in on marching orders, gathering men along the way. And, well, as the story unfolds, I think we realize even more the wily cunningness of Joab, this seasoned warrior. I'm not endorsing his behavior or his choices, because this is still in here. This is a story of the events. This is part of the tale. And this is one of the men who surrounded David. But I suspect and hope that you have a good bit of discussion about this Joab, because I think there's a lot to ponder with him. Think about it. So verse 8, when they were at the large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came to meet him. Now Joab, he was dressed in his military attire. Over it was a belt with a sword in its sheath fastened at his waist. And as he bent forward, well, it fell out. And Joab said to Amasa, is it well with you, my brother? Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa was not on guard against the sword which was now in Joab's hand, so he struck him in the belly with it, poured out his inward parts on the ground. He did not strike him again, and he died. Then Joab and Abishai, his brother, well, they pursued Sheba, the son of Bichri. Verse 11, now there stood by him one of Joab's young men, and he said, whoever favors Joab, whoever is for David, let him follow Joab. But Amasa lay wallowing in his blood in the middle of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the highway into the field, threw a garment over him when he saw that everyone who came by him, well, they stood still. As soon as he was removed from the highway, all the men passed on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. Now he went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel, even Beth-maachah, and all the Berites, and they were gathered together, and they went after him. Gawkers, even on foot. Us in our cars, right? We stop to watch. Same resolution it seems fits. Remove it from the road, cover it up. Then the traffic, by foot or by car, well, it can move on. Because I'm not compelled that it's fear from these men. These are warriors. They've seen dead bodies before. Maybe it's more about how it got there. Food for thought. So Joab, in his pursuit, right, he comes to Abel Beth-maachah. And when he gets to the city, well, he's ready to tear the city down, whatever it takes to reach Sheba. Then we get this curious interaction between Joab and, in contrast, this wise woman. And yeah, she's left unnamed. But in this tale of Sheba, we have this foolish fellow. We have a wise woman. That's also probably worth a discussion point. Feel free to ponder. But this woman, she seems to grasp the severity, the complexity of this situation. So she calls out to Joab. It's probably not lost on him that he doesn't consider her a threat. So he agrees to listen. It's a curious encounter. Starts in 16. Then a wise woman called from the city, "Hear, hear. Please tell Joab, come here, that I may speak with you." So he approached her, and the woman said, "Are you Joab?" And he answered, "I am." Then she said to him, "Listen to the words of your maidservant." And he answered, "I'm listening." Then she spoke, saying, "Formerly, they used to say, 'They will surely ask advice at Abel,' and thus they ended the dispute. I am one of those who are peaceable and faithful in Israel. And you're seeking to destroy a city, even a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord?" And then Joab replied, far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. Such is not the case. But a man from the hill country of Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri by name, he's lifted his hand against King David. Only hand him over, and I will depart from this city. And the woman said to Joab, "Behold, his head will be thrown over the wall." Then the woman wisely came to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and they threw it to Joab. So he blew the trumpet, and they were dispersed from the city, each to his tent. And Joab also returned to the king at Jerusalem. I guess so even peaceful dialogue, reasoned discussion can still end in a circumstance that will not end well for someone, right? A foolish fellow. So after the trip home, it's a little housekeeping. We're caught up on who's in charge of whom as we move forward in this tale because it's important. Starts in 23. Now Joab was over the whole army of Israel, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and Adoram was over the forced labor, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, he was the recorder, and Sheba was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were priests, and Ira the Jairite was also a priest to David. So in that, right, there were promises kept. There were a few new names, but this is part of the inner court of David. And it reminds us that this is still a land of military encounters, right? Because we're probably aware that these are everything's going on. These are part of the promises of God that if they, right, those in their past, those with Joshua as they crossed over, right, they didn't rid the land of those that lived in opposition to the will of God. So God, he promised these issues. And this inner court, well, it just reflects dealing with that. So next week, right, we're going to get to famine, avenging a promise, a war with an old nemesis, and echoes of a mighty warrior. Because it seems that the Philistines, well, They seem to know how to recruit. So maybe in these different circumstances, well, we'll see if the results are any different. So thanks for being with us tonight as we continue exploring the stories in this second scroll of Samuel on the Dusty Feet.